It's one thing if you're 40, 50 years old and you're taking
TRT.
If you're 21, 22, you're going to f yourself up.
So stupid. And they just, I mean, I remember being 16, 17 years old, playing football, having the seniors say, you know, you got to take something to get involved. CrossFit, it went parabolic out of nowhere. Was there a reason why? Was there a specific person?
It's the same thing with High Rocks, right? You're watching High Rocks do the same thing right now. They simplified exercise for the average person. The big Jersey show that they have here in Secaucus.
Yeah, what's it called? Yeah, I know what you mean.
The New York Pro. F***ing weird.
You said you have an event coming up?
Yeah, so on October 5th, we have Strong New York, which is like the only health and wellness expo in the tri-state area. So that's my event.
Yeah.
I started it back in 2016, and last year we had like 2,500 people there. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I had Richie Marty helped Owen Roddy teach a class.
Really?
Yeah. And then I mean, fuck, we had everybody. I had a Henzo Gracie there. We had a guy who won the World's Strongest Man. I had a bunch of like famous trainers and shit like that. So it's like a big health and wellness expo. We'll have like 70 exhibitors. We'll have 40 presenters. We'll have a couple title sponsors. We'll do workouts on the West Side Highway and shit.
What's the, like, is it just like a gigantic expo, you kind of walking around different booths
Yeah,
and shit?
so different booths, all different types of workouts, everything from like fucking dance classes to jujitsu to, kids gymnastics and shit. We'll do everything.
Oh, they're actually teaching classes though.
Yeah,
you can actually get a workout.
Yeah, they're like 30 to 40-minute classes going on all day long in like 3 different areas. We'll have a main stage area where we'll have like talks and book signings and shit. So last year we had 6 New York Times bestsellers there.
Dude, what the hell?
Yeah.
And this is, okay, so Strong New York is your expo, which you're pretty much known for.
Yeah, so Strong New York is like my expo and like kind of the brand. Like I wanted to make it a brand because I was going to a lot of these expos and a lot of them just sucked. It was like there's no real branding to them. They're great events, but there's no real branding to them. So unless it's like, I guess the Arnold's pretty cool just because Arnold's behind it.
Yeah.
But I was going to all these events all over the country and they just seemed outdated. And there's a lot of stuff that I like about them because I go every year, but there's also something that I felt was missing. And at the same time, I've been to Comic-Con, the Food and Wine Festival, boat show, car show, all that shit. And there was nothing in New York. So I was like, well, I'm going to make a fitness event for New York. And I started chipping away at it back in 2015, 2016. And then we did our first event in 2016. And this will be our 8th one.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's all self-funded. I do everything myself. Like every year I put everything on a fucking credit card and just let it ride. Yeah. Last year I put $120,000 on my credit card and I'm like, this is going to be interesting if this doesn't work out.
And what are you selling tickets for?
We sell tickets, so it's like anything else in New York, it's a premium, right? Like if you go to any of these other events, it's like $30-40, and it's going to be a lot of young kids trying to fucking collect as much pre-workout and creatine as they could.
Yeah.
This is a more elevated experience. We do IV drips. We'll do massages. We'll do like chiropractic work. We'll have free food. We'll have a bunch of shit there. And the tickets anywhere from $150. Well, you could come into the expo for $50. And then if you want to partake or participate in anything, it's $150 to $250.
Gotcha.
And then, but we'll do free workouts outside as well. So the initiative was to basically get as many people as possible in New York moving and through any form of exercise or movement, right? So that's why I said we'll have dance classes, we'll have gymnastics, we'll have jiu-jitsu, boxing, weightlifting, powerlifting. So we'll do a little bit of everything and try to get as many people doing something as possible. And the idea behind it was, like most people won't walk into a gym like Richie's, right? Like the average person is like, I'm not going to go fucking do jiu-jitsu with those guys. Not. Like even for me, I do it and I'm like, I'm going to have to feel pretty good when I go over there because there's probably going to be some guy who wants to fucking rip my head 100%. Off. So I'm like, I got to be on my fucking A game. So I wanted to dummy down the experience, get the best people in the business, put them all under the same roof and get more people, moving.
Yeah. So how long did you have your gym open before starting this? Because Strong New York is your gym, but that's relatively...
So the gym is called the Strength Club.
Okay, gotcha.
And I started that. So I opened my first gym back in 2012 in Paramus. So I had a CrossFit gym in Paramus. Okay. Then I came back to the city in 2014 and I helped open Solace, New York. So I ran that from 2014 to 2020. Pandemic happens. March of 2021, I signed the lease for my gym that I have now. So it's been 3 years since I had that gym. And now I'm about to, I just signed the LOI and working on a space here in Jersey.
I'm so intrigued by, because again, I'm into fitness. Obviously, you're into fitness. Yeah. The thought process of like making a business out of fitness is a hard one. And a lot of people think, I would assume, that opening up a gym day when you're making money, and that's not the case at all.
No. Gyms are very much like restaurants, but there's a lot more upside to a restaurant if you can make it work. They're both very hard. It's a lot harder to make money in gyms. But think about it. Gyms nowadays, like some of the best gyms, or the gyms that I like going to, are some of these corporate gyms. They're very hard to compete against, right? Like, have you ever been to Iron Culture?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Love that fucking gym. Love Nick. Those guys are great. When I'm in Jersey, that's one of the gyms I go to. The one out in Cedar Knolls. But they're building a new gym. And those gyms are millions of dollars. Right. Millions of dollars to build out. So you either have somebody with deep pockets or you have some sort of corporation, Equinox, Lifetime, any of these brands. So it's hard to compete against those. But what the boutique gyms have on these gyms is community. We focus solely on the community. Yeah. They could push community all they want, but it's like there's a difference between... I can't even use Carbone anymore because now they have so many fucking locations. But it's like I've always said, I'd rather be a Rayo's than a fucking California pizza kitchen, right? Yeah. Because there's something authentic. Like you feel like you're part of something when you go there. So I think that's what the difference is between the two. Like I hate anything corporate. Like I think like an Equinox feels so sterile to me. Yeah. It's like, so it used to be cool when it was smaller. Now it's like everywhere. It's a chain. It's run like big business. So for me, it's like, I just find no appeal to that. So if I'm in another area, if I'm overseas, I'm going to find a dingier gym, and not even dingy in the shape of it. It's just like a smaller boutique style place. And I'd rather go to something like that. When I'm down the shore, I'll go to like Shore Fitness. You ever been there?
No, I go to Atlas a lot.
Attilas?
Attilas, yeah.
I fucking love Attilas.
Love the Egg Harbor Township one?
I go to the one in Wildwood.
Oh, you do? I've been there too. Have you been to the one in Egg Harbor Township?
No, I haven't been to that one.
Huge.
But there's one in Sea Isle, isn't there?
There's one in Wildwood. There's one in Ocean City. There's one in Egg Harbor Township. I don't know if there may be one in Sea Isle.
He's got like 4 or 5 now. He just built a massive one in brick.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. So I've known Chris. I mean, I started going there when I was 15, 16 years old.
Okay.
So when I was a kid, I started lifting there. And I love those gyms. Like I love that type of gym. Like it's a kind of bodybuilding, hardcore gym. So we're doing right now, we're putting together, me and some of the ladies I work with, we're putting together a like a gym tour. So we're going to bounce around and go to like different gyms that I know the owners at and start promoting the event and doing like competitions, giving away tickets, doing some cool stuff. Like we work with so many different brands for the event. And we'll have the brands just kind of like piggyback off of like what we're doing and like kind of deliver products and stuff. So we'll go to like everything from Pilates and yoga studios to hardcore gyms and jiu-jitsu gyms. Right.
So where do you run this out of? Straight New York?
All out of my gym. So
what?
Yeah. Everything's run out of
the gym that I was at?
Yeah.
How the fuck do you fit 2,500 people there?
Oh, no. Oh, where do we have the we hold the event at a place called the Glass House. Okay. So 2 years ago we did it. I rented out Chelsea Piers, which is 70,000 square foot space in on the Hudson. And then this year, last year and this year, we're running out of a place called the Glass House, which is like a huge like event facility. Yeah. It's massive. It covers like basically a city block. And it overlooks the Hudson. So we'll do like outdoor workouts. We'll do stuff inside. It's pretty cool. We did last year. We had cold plunges, IVs. I had a guy, the same guy Richie had doing tattoos here. I hired him. He did tattoos at the event. I had a girl doing hair braiding. I had a guy doing shape ups and shit. We had like,
that's sick, man.
Yeah. So it's a full day of like health and wellness. We have like a bunch of beauty brands that we're having this year. So each year we try to grow it and make it like a lifestyle event. Right. So that's why like incorporating the shirts and kind of like clothing a part of it, it kind of all kind of bleeds together. Yeah. And then my gyms are just what I do on a daily basis. Like I love training. You know, I was at the gym since 5:30 this morning. I'll be there till 8, 9 o'clock at night. Like I said, I'll do anywhere from on the low end 6 to 12 sessions a day. Yeah. And like everybody's when you work out, it's like I have a membership to David Barton Gym. So I go there at night by myself sometimes, or I'll jump in with my clients, and then I go to Henzo's probably 4 to 6 times a week.
You do?
Yeah.
Wow, you make time for 4 to 6 times.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times it's privates because I can't make the classes.
Okay.
Because I'm always like, I have clients during the times they have classes. So I'll go and do privates. So I spend a fucking grip on privates. I
can't imagine.
Yeah.
Privates are crazy.
Somewhere between 200 and 250.
Who do you normally go with?
So I roll with this guy, Hoffa, who's like one of their main black belts. Him, this guy, Jason Yang.
Hoffa Mendes?
No. Hoffa Costa.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of him.
He's fucking legit. I mean, he's a 4th degree, 5th degree.
Yeah, he's legit.
Yeah, he's been there forever. He's been doing jiu-jitsu since he was 13 or 14 years old. All these guys, like all these Brazilian dudes. And then sometimes I'll work with this kid, Jeff. He won the world championships a couple of years ago.
He was over here.
Yeah. So I met him maybe 2 or 3 times through different people. I just always liked him, and like sometimes if I can't get in with those guys, I'll go train with him.
He's a good dude.
He's awesome.
And he's savage.
Yeah, he'll show me a ton of shit. I'm like, I don't even know how the fuck you just did that. I was like, do that again. Run that back
again.
Yeah.
What made you want to get into jiu-jitsu?
So I wrestled all through high school and college.
Oh, you did?
So I went to St. Peter's Prep. I wrestled over there. Then went to Montclair State. After I wrestled at Montclair State, I was like, fuck, I mean, I need to scratch this itch a little bit. Yeah. So I started doing judo with a couple guys I went to Montclair with up in Wayne. And then there was a place, Guerra's, in Newark that I started at. I think it was called like Neon Belly or something too. But that was, that was 2006, maybe 2007. So I was doing that. And then found CrossFit. So CrossFit kind of pulled me away from jiu-jitsu for a while. And I was doing that, like, fell in love with it. I was like, oh man, I got to be a fucking CrossFit athlete. So I fell in love. I started doing that pretty early on. But I was doing no-gi mostly. Like I won 2 Naga tournaments.
Just hopped on a mat. Or like,
yeah. I was like, oh, I'll just win on fucking takedowns.
Yeah.
And then I went to, and then I did CrossFit for the longest time. And then during COVID, I was like, fuck, I mean, nothing's going to be open but jiu-jitsu gyms. Like I'm like, these guys aren't going to give a fuck, right? No. It's like the culture of like, you're bleeding and sweating on people. Like nobody gives a shit about COVID. Yeah. So I was like, I got to go do this again. Huh. So I started doing Muay Thai, and I was doing that 2-3 days a week with this guy, Elijah. And then I started taking the classes, and they're like, dude, didn't you wrestle? Why don't you just go back to jiu-jitsu? I was like, I used to do it. I was like, nah, I don't want to fuck my back up and stuff. They're like, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. So on a Friday night last year in April, I went one time, and I was just like, oh, fuck. This feels good.
Yeah.
Like so then I went Friday and Tuesday. Then I went Monday, Tuesday, Friday.
Yeah.
Then I was going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday.
Jeez.
And then I was doing 6-7 days. I mean, there was a good period of time right before. So I just did the New York Open.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I took silver in my age group and then won the absolute for
good for you, man.
Yeah.
That's not easy.
No, it's fuck, dude. There are
How
some
many matches
guys.
did you have?
I had 6 matches.
That's insane, man.
Yeah.
And you went 6-0 for absolute, and then
no. So I went 2 out of 3 in my age group, and then I won 3 at absolute.
Okay, so 6 total.
Yeah, 6 total.
Yeah. What do you think the best shape you've been in? Was it during CrossFit? Because I always see these dudes that, like, the professional CrossFitters, in my opinion, have like the pinnacle of what the body should look like, right? If you wanted to look like a jacked up human, you CrossFit.
I mean, listen, dude. I think we've come a long way. Like when people used to say like, oh, they're using PEDs and shit like that. In the past, it used to be like looked down upon. Now it's like
no shit, dude.
Everyone's fucking doing it. You're gonna tell me like any of those guys who look like bodybuilders as CrossFitters?
They're huge.
They're huge. They all look great. They all have a similar build, right? There's a difference between like if I lined up a power lifter, a CrossFitter, a jiu-jitsu guy, and a boxer. I bet everyone in this room could pick out what sport each one of them do.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And a bodybuilder, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know what sport they're doing. They look a certain way because they're doing certain, they're doing certain exercises, but they're also doing certain drugs.
Right.
Right? Like, Lance Armstrong just did that High Rocks thing this weekend.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
My buddy did it too. He was there?
Yeah, he was there.
How'd he do?
I think he did pretty good. I mean, the guy's 50-something years old, 52, 53 years old. And he did it, I think he did it in an hour and 10 minutes, which is great.
That's
a good
by
time.
himself?
Yeah, by himself.
That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, the fucking guy's clearly got a motor. But like what pisses me off so much about the world nowadays is everybody's such a fucking hypocrite. Right? You're like pointing the finger. It's like, oh, he did it. Well, so did everybody else on his fucking team. That's how they kept up with him.
Right.
And all the guys competing against him, they did it too.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like everybody's doing it. I don't think it's a big deal nowadays. You know? And I think there's this like push towards like, who gives a shit? Right? Like I follow these girls. They're like 20-something-year-old girls. They're all doing like peptides and shit like that. And girls in my gym are like, I want to look like this girl. I'm like, well, all right, we'll start doing fucking CJC and all this other bullshit.
Like baseball animal.
Yeah, they're like, I don't want to do any of that. And I'm like, well, then you're not going to look like this broad because she doesn't look like that naturally. Yeah. It's abnormal for a 20-something-year-old to have fucking shoulders like that.
Especially as a girl. Have you gotten into peptides at all?
No, I can't.
Never.
So I got blood work done 3 years ago. And I was my back was killing me.
Yeah. Couldn't
sleep really well. I was fucking always in pain. So I go see 3 different doctors. Every one of them came back being like, yo, your testosterone levels are under 200, which is crazy.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And every one of them was like, you got to get a CAT scan. And I was like, a CAT? What the fuck do I need a CAT scan? And they're like, there has to be something wrong with your pituitary gland.
Right.
So I'm like, what?
You're huge.
Yeah. No. So I was heavier. I could show you pictures too. I was a little bit heavier too. So I went to all 3 doctors. Every one of them was like, hey, listen, you're a perfect candidate for testosterone, TRT therapy and shit. And I'm like, I've never done anything. I don't want to do anything, you know. So I waited, and like my pain got worse and worse. I finally went to go see this doctor. She actually trains out of a gym here in Jersey City. She's got an office in the city. Met her, and she's like, hey, listen, I'm going to walk you through this. Here's what's wrong. Here's what's going on. You know, it's not going to get any better as you get older. Right. So you need to start doing something. She's like, go get the CAT scan. So I get the CAT scan, and they notice that I have a cyst on my pituitary gland. So right where like your brain gives the signal for your nuts to start making testosterone, right, is like fucked up. So she's like, you have 2 options. 1, you could take this pill to try to shrink it, or 2, you could start taking the therapy. Right? Testosterone. Yeah. So I'm like, fuck. And she's like, if you try to remove it, she's like, we wouldn't even remove it because it's so small. She's like, we'd have to crack your skull open, right? Or try to go up through your nose, which will probably be even worse, and try to remove this thing that's like a fucking, the size of a hair.
Oh my God, dude.
On your brain. So I was like, all right. So it was a big deal for me to finally like take the first shot. Within 6 weeks, 7 weeks, I just felt instantly better. My mood was better. I was out of pain. And for me, it was the best thing that happened to me. And I was like, all right, well, fuck, I'm doing this. I might as well try some of these peptides. She's like, you cannot take peptides. And I was like, why? She's like, because what peptides do, or any like growth hormone, it'll grow everything else. So it'll grow the cyst. So she's like, if that cyst grows where it sits on your pituitary gland, she's like, you'll start to go blind.
Holy shit. Yeah. So you got to be even careful with the dosage of testosterone you're taking, I would assume.
Well, no, because it just affects a different part of your body. It's going through my bloodstream. It's not affecting my brain.
So you can blast test.
Yeah. So like anything growth hormone or peptide related, I can't take, which I fucking, at this point, I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm 41 years old. I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
No,
yeah,
why
give
not?
Me whatever.
How did you feel with a testosterone level that low?
Miserable. I was always in pain.
But you were able to keep muscle on? That's the craziest thing.
No, that was the thing. It was like, well, I was able to keep muscle on, but it was very hard to like grow or look any, feel any better.
So you didn't always operate with a low number. You just happened to.
I think they were like, your numbers were probably pretty low for most of your 30s. They were like, this isn't something new. They were like, if you were in this much pain. Dude, I was in so much pain all the time. I literally bought slip-on sneakers. I had all the slip-on sneakers because I couldn't even bend down to tie my shoes.
It's just insane to me. Like, was your libido affected at all? Did you notice anything dramatic?
I was still fucking, but I mean, as you get older, like you just
you didn't
don't
know
want,
if it was just an age thing.
Yeah, you just don't want to fuck as much anymore. You're really? Like, it's too much effort.
Oh, I'm scared.
Like when I was, how old are you?
28.
Yeah, when I was 30, I would chase pussy fucking from here to California. I mean, like you're just like, yeah, I'll go anywhere for it.
Literally, we talked about it in the other podcast. But like men at my age or before my age, a little bit younger, you become so hyper obsessive. You catch it, you get like a good momentum going of, oh, I can get pussy, and now I'm just gonna keep going for it.
At 18, 19 years old, if you held a fucking snake for me, I would fuck that thing for sure. Like, I would be down. Now I'm just like, if it takes any effort, I'm just like, I'm out.
So how crazy did you get with getting pussy? Was that like a thing for you?
I mean,
the reality show helped out.
Yeah. I mean, it's fucking, you feel like you're winning, right? Like it's amazing. Yeah, especially for me, like I grew up in Newark, New Jersey. I went to high school in Jersey City. I was heavy as a kid. I was always fat as a kid. So I couldn't get girls to piss on me if I was on fire. And then, getting on television, it's just like everyone was now interested. And it was like, oh, that's wrong to think like that. I'm like, it wasn't wrong on my part. They didn't like me because I was fat or uninteresting or what. I don't know what the fuck it was. As soon as you get on television, it's like everybody wants a fucking... Well,
I think it comes down to, again, women are very curious creatures. So as soon as something becomes interesting about you, they want to learn more about that. They
I think it makes sense. And like anybody, I mean, when you're interesting yourself, it's like, yes, you want to be around more interesting people, but at the same time, there's a want to elevate your game by hanging out with those type of people.
100%.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, there were girls in high school and college who wouldn't fucking respond back to a hello and be like, hey, hi. And they'd walk right past me.
Right.
Those same people would be like, hey, we should hang out. Like when I got off television, it was 2005, 2006. So like Facebook was a thing. So I would get messages from people on Facebook. I was like, oh, this is amazing. Now, what sucks for you guys is now everything's out there. It's like Instagram and all this shit. TikTok, you could be TikTok famous, Instagram famous, Snapchat famous, TV famous. Like you could be fucking famous for walking down the street.
It's crazy.
So back then it was a little different. So like when I'd go to Jenkinson's in Point Pleasant, people are like, oh my God, it's a guy from MTV. And I'm like, oh, this is insane. This is great.
So for those that don't know, tell them, so the challenge, you were on the show
so I was on the challenge. I started on MTV in like 2005.
How old were you at this point?
21?
20? Yeah, 21. 22? That's crazy.
Yeah. So 20 years ago. And then I was on it for like 10 years. And I got to do a lot of other shit. I shot like 4 or 5 different pilots for different shows, like dating shows and talk shows and all this shit. I did a bunch of commercial work. I hosted the Jersey Shore after show on MTV.com. So I met all those girls.
I knew you were doing something with the Jersey Shore. Yeah. That's so funny.
I went to the UFC fight this weekend.
I was there.
Oh, you were there too?
Yeah.
And you know Jamie, the
I saw him.
guy?
Yeah.
So Jamie was with Mike and
Vinny. Yeah.
So as we were leaving, I saw all of them. But me and Vinny used to do improv together.
Really?
Yeah, we went to UCB together.
Do you know Jamie at all?
I just know Jamie through like mutual friends. And we were talking because I wanted him to do the food services at Strong this year.
Oh,
so
that's
we were
sick.
chatting, yeah.
We were in the same lounge, and we were supposed to get him on the podcast. And like the day of, he had like some sort of emergency.
He's got a ton of shit going on.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
the guy's
a busy
fucking run a major company. That's why I've been trying to get in touch with him. Like we were bullshitting the other day, but I'd love to have him at the event.
Seems super busy. I was like trying to get his ear for a little bit.
Somebody told me that company's tens of millions.
Really?
Yeah, he's killing it.
I mean, I would assume the margins on...
It's hard. It's got to be the hardest business. Everyone I know who started a meal prep company, just fucking... The guys, do you remember Kettlebell Kitchen?
Yeah.
Kettlebell Kitchen got $32 or $33 million worth of funding within the year they closed.
I wonder why.
I go, what the fuck do you do with that money? Set it on fire? What do you do with $32 million?
What do you know what they did?
What happened was I knew the brothers because the 2 brothers were doing CrossFit. Like when you did CrossFit in like 2009, everyone knew each other. Yeah. Everybody was a part of the same fucking, competitions and going to the same gyms. There was CrossFit Hoboken. There was Black Box in the city. There was a couple gyms on Long Island. There wasn't a lot of them. So everybody knew each other. So these 2 brothers started Kettlebell Kitchen. and you know, they were struggling for a while. They were like hand delivering fucking meals to people's apartments and shit. And then they got this funding and they just blew it out. They started buying vans and trucks and kitchens and all this shit. And they just overspent on everything. Yeah. And didn't realize, like, and it was crazy because I think both of them came from finance backgrounds. I'm like, you guys didn't do the fucking math on this?
I mean, I would assume it's some sort of like rinse and repeat, but the problem is I would guess like you got this area on lock. I think Jamie, the only reason I know him is because I used to see the signs and be like, yeah. I thought it was just like a reminder to eat well. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. Yeah. And then I kept seeing, I was like, what the fuck is this? I thought it was like a movement. I thought it was like a group of people that were just getting together.
Dude, I give that kid, he's got balls of steel because I couldn't imagine what he was spending on those things. We were talking about it not too long ago where I called him up and we were on the phone for like 2 hours. Oh, and really? He was, and we were just talking about business and stuff. And he's like, dude, the best thing I did was buy those signs. And he's like, that's my first piece of advice to people is like, you know, start doing advertisements, like guerrilla marketing like that. And I'm like, yeah, but if you don't have a good product, you could put up all the fucking signs you want. You got nothing for people to buy.
That's the biggest issue with the meal prep
So it's like he had a good product and he had the distribution down. Yeah. Right? Like people will order from Brooklyn, Long Island, all over the place. He's making sure they get their food. So he's got the logistics down. I think he doesn't give himself enough credit for that. Okay. That like it's because it's three businesses, right? You're a catering service, you're a delivery service, right? And you're an online, you know, business. So it's like you got to be good at a lot of things.
Yeah, I want to get him on. I'm curious to hear more about his story. Because you mentioned the kettlebell guys. What do you know? What blew up CrossFit? It went parabolic out of nowhere. Was there a reason why? Was there a specific person?
You know what? I think it was it's the same thing with High Rocks, right? You're watching High Rocks do the same thing right now. It's reaching that critical mass point where when I did my first High Rocks, when it came to the US in 2019, I got an invite from this woman who was the marketing director. And she's like, hey, we want you to come run this race down in Miami. And I was like, all right, cool. Sounds good. There was like 10 of us who did it. It was like me, Hunter McIntyre. It was a bunch of guys who like were fringy CrossFit people, but also did like adventure racing and shit. So we did it. And I was like, yo, this is going to take off. This is going to be cool. You just have to stick with it. Like if it doesn't fade away, it's going to be cool. I said to them, I was like, I would change up some of the workouts eventually. You don't even have to change the modalities. Like you could keep a ski erg in there, but change the distance, right? Shorten the run, make it longer, make it shorter, like do things like that. You know, so, but what they do really well is that it keeps the skill level pretty low. I think what happened with CrossFit was they simplified exercise for the average person. And there was something that most people could get behind, whether it was endurance or as the skill or it was powerlifting or weightlifting. Like it opened the doors for a lot of women. I think women were a huge consumer of CrossFit. And it made it okay for guys to take group fitness because now you're doing this like,
that's the one,
you know, cool thing. And you're challenging yourself. I think there was a lot to it. I think it was, and the workouts, it's like, all right, we're going to go 10, 20, 30 push-ups and deadlifts. And everybody's like, all right, that sounds simple enough. And you're going to do it as fast as you can, you know? And it's like, all right, cool. So people got into it pretty early on. I remember when I was one of my first workouts and this guy's like, all right, we're going to do cleans into a press and box jumps. And we're just going to try to do it as fast as possible with like 115 pounds. And I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it. And like I was fucking smoked afterwards. I'm like, God damn, that was hard. And then it was like, all right, next thing we're going to do kettlebell swings and, you know, pull-ups. And I'm like, all right, cool. This is, you know, and then we're going to run around the block. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then I think it just caught on. But like mass media picked it up, right? They did a special on 60 Minutes. They did a article in the Wall Street Journal. When it starts to reach that critical mass point, now the masses are like, oh shit, what is this? I want to try this. It's like any fad diet, right? There's no difference between, you know, going into a hardcore gym and doing deadlifts and, you know, going to a CrossFit class and doing deadlifts. It's structured. It's easier. You know, there's somebody watching you. There's a lot of things that people weren't sure of or not sure how to do that CrossFit simplified.
It also, like you said before, scratches that itch of if you're a competitor or you miss community of sports. And I think a lot of people go to the gym now, you know, if you're starting out in the gym in your 20s, it's very scary to walk into a gym and be like, I have to pick up this weight. I don't really know what I'm doing. There's people around me staring. Whereas you walk into a CrossFit gym, there's beginner level classes you can at least start with other people.
Yeah. You're noticing at a younger age, obviously because of social media. My nephew is 16, 17 years old, and he loves C-Bump, and he loves, you know, the two brothers with the fucking
Trend Twins are fucking
the Prime guys.
Oh, Logan and Jake.
Logan and Jake. He loves those guys, and he loves like a lot of these younger like influencer.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, the fucking stupid curly haircut people.
Yeah.
He loves all those fucking people, but these guys are all now a generation younger than me, or even like your age, a little younger. And they're talking about exercise, and they're, you know, they have YouTube pages and Instagram accounts. And like now younger kids are like, oh, well, he doesn't drink and he goes to the gym all the time. I'm going to start to do the same thing. So it is a positive influence on a lot of these kids. I think a lot of people are going too far down the rabbit hole because like now you have young kids. It's one thing if you're 40, 50 years old and you're taking fucking TRT and shit like that. If you're 21, 22, you're going to fuck yourself up.
So stupid. And they just, I mean, I remember being 16, 17 years old, playing football, having the seniors say, you know, you got to take something to get involved. And you look at the Anivars and the D-balls, like, fuck, should I do it? Should I not?
Yeah.
And thank God you don't, because then you look at the guys that did, and now their nuts don't work.
Well, it was crazy because I think a good example for me as a kid, and I'm glad I never did it when I was younger, was there was a kid in my high school I went to high school with. He was from Rutherford. His dad was giving him fucking, I don't even know what the fuck he was giving him at the time. I think he was giving him tests or something. Yeah. And he had this fucking growth on his tit. They had to like cut his tit open and
like a crazy gyno.
Yeah, it was like gynecomastia. But it's like he had to have this surgery to pull like the excess fat out of his tit. It was gross.
No shit, man.
We were in college when he had it done, and I was like, oh fuck that, I don't want that,
dude. And now you're on.
Now it's like my body needs every fucking ounce of testosterone I could get.
But you're at the age now where you can. You built a base.
You're at the age where it's declining. You're not making it like your body once was.
Yeah.
So it's like you have this surplus that your body's making, and now you're inputting more synthetic testosterone into your body. So it's like you're fucking up your hormones. Like my hormones are on the decline.
Yeah,
you know?
I'd be so curious to see.
Like after 40, everything starts to fall apart.
I wish you did blood work at like 21, 22. Like I wonder what your levels look like versus now or pre therapy. Because
all 3 times I had blood work done, it was all like, I think the best I had was like 210.
Really? Mm-hmm. And what was your? Because I think they say the total is one thing, but the free is what really matters.
Yeah, the free is what really matters. Well, yeah, but at the same time, if both levels are low, and then like everybody's like, oh, well, you were probably doing. No, I did it in the morning. You know, like 7, 8 in the morning.
Yeah. You should never show a number that's 200. That's extremely low.
Yeah,
you know?
I was pretty fucked up. Yeah. But it's again, I tell people all the time. It's like when you feel like shit, and you're having pain. Your body's probably not recovering. Like if you didn't have any blunt trauma to it, like if you got into a car accident or you played football or some shit and you're all banged up, that's one thing. But if you had no prior injuries and you have back pain and shoulder pain, it's like, that's like chronic pain that you're either not moving enough or there's some sort of chemical imbalance.
Right. You're inflamed for some reason. You have some sort of chronic autoimmune.
And you're not recovering. Like your body isn't recovering and healing the way it should.
I listened to Stan Efferding talk one time. He's awesome.
I love him.
And he was mentioning, because he's very honest with what he does and how he eats and how he trains.
You can't deny that. All these old bodybuilders and powerlifters and shit, they all do it.
Of course. And he's 50-some years old, looks great. And he was saying how he's like, look, yes, my diet is great. My training schedule is great. If I wasn't on TRT, if my numbers were low, it is literally impossible to not only put muscle on, but to keep muscle on. If your testosterone levels are low as a man, you're fighting against the wind at this point.
I mean, look at RFK and a lot of these guys, and they're well into their 50s, 60s, even 70s. You just feel better. I went to Giant Stadium a couple weeks ago, or what the fuck is it called now? MetLife or whatever. 2 weeks ago, I went to go see the Rolling Stones. And Mick Jagger running on stage. This guy's 81 years old, 82 years old. Everybody's like, yeah, but he's hopped up on. I go, listen, if that's fucking testosterone, cocaine, or
what it is.
What? Yeah, heroin. I don't give a shit. If I can move like that at 81, I'm fucking taking it.
Right. You're at the point of like, hey, I'm gonna take whatever I need.
You're gonna die anyway.
Yeah,
fucking
you
use
might
whatever.
as well.
Feel good.
Yeah.
Like if I die today, or I die 6 weeks from now, I want to feel really good whenever I die. So if it's going to make me feel better, and it's not like drugs, it's not like I'm doing heroin or some shit. But like if you could feel better on a daily basis, and there's really like no downside to it other than you have to take it all the time.
I guess like you said, the extremeness of, you know who Sam Sulek is?
Yeah, yeah.
So like you get guys like that.
That's crazy.
That look gigantic and look like freaks. And they're probably on things that they should not be on.
And how old is that kid? 23?
22, I think.
Yeah.
Insane.
Like it makes me nervous for like younger kids because we didn't have that level of influence. Like there was nobody younger who was doing it. I think the only idea I had of it when I was a kid was watching The Program. Have you ever seen the movie The Program? Oh, fuck, dude. That's a great movie. Yeah. You got to watch The Program. So it was a bit about this college football program, and one of the guys on the team, everybody else is like pretty athletic. There's just one guy on the team, he's like a middle linebacker. And he like paints his face with like the Punisher.
Okay.
And he's jacked up. He doesn't make the team, and then he fucking gasses himself up. He's jacked out of his mind. He's clearly bigger
I've seen that scene. He's in the hallway.
Yeah, and he like puts his head through the window, and he's like, first team.
Yeah. I've seen that.
Yeah, and he puts his head through the window, and everybody's like, oh, that's what happens when you're on gear.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, there's so many different, like to really understand it. Like I love like the More Plates, More Dates.
Yeah.
I listen to, all these guys, Peter Attia and all these guys who all talk about it. There's so many nuances to it. Your body's such an intricate system. You never know how it's going to affect it. One thing does something else to something else. And, you get this trickle down effect. So if you're ever going to do shit, like have like why I finally agreed to do it was because I had a doctor who was like sitting down with me and going through everything. The first two doctors who offered me shit were like, here, I'll give you this cream. Here's a prescription. You go pick it up with that. And I'm like, wait, this seems, dude, you just told me I have to be on this for the rest of my life. And I'm going to spread a cream on my fucking shoulders every morning. What the fuck are you talking about? They're like, don't get it on anybody else. If you're laying with a girl, she'll start growing hair in weird parts. I'm like, wait, what the fuck?
They opted for the cream first before the
injection. That was
That's insane.
Yeah, two doctors. And these are like prestigious hospitals in New York City. Like Mount Sinai, Lenox Hill, like these are like.
I wonder why they even gave that as an option.
But it was like they could give a fuck less. Like they were like, here, take this, drink that. I'll see you tomorrow. And I'm like, whoa. What are you talking about here?
Yeah.
She sat down with me and she was like, here, this is what this is. This is what that is. This will affect this. These are your options. Like she literally, we sat there for an hour and a half and she went through everything. And I'm like, all right, it made me a lot more comfortable about doing it. And she's like, if you need me to, have one of the nurses do it every time. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to give my fucking self a needle. It's like, I remember watching my aunt take her blood pressure medication and like she'd have to prick her finger. And I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, you're not going needles?
Needles.
Do you go one every week?
Yeah. So you have to, I take a shot a week. Yeah. I've gotten comfortable with it now, but it took me almost 2 years. But even when she draws my blood and like every 6 months I get blood work done, right? I'm like, I gotta like look away and shit. I hate it. I hate it.
Did they, I'm sure she would monitor how much she's giving you too. Like she's not gonna let you blast if you really wanted to.
Like if I was like up my dose, she'd be like, no.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because if your levels are.
I have buddies who are obviously juice head bodybuilder.
Of course, yeah.
They're like, dude, you got to keep your numbers at 1,100, 1,200. I'm like, that's double dangerous. What I do now. Like,
that's a dangerous level.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't even know what I'd fucking feel like.
You know what you feel like. You'd feel like you're 20
Yeah, I'd probably feel like $1 million.
Yeah.
But she's, I was like, could I try it for a couple weeks if I was at like, she's like, no, that's crazy. She's like, you'll feel terrible. And then she's like, when you're 50, you'll have to do 4 shots a day. I'm like, all right.
To kind of keep it up. What do you have, like half a cc? That's like normally like the normal.
To tell you the truth, I don't even know what the fuck I take. I take one fucking shot once a week. Yeah.
Because I know.
And like, I feel great. Like there was a point where I was like, I literally got like 6 months into it. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I don't need this anymore. I don't even know what this shit's working.
Yeah.
And I came off it for like 2 weeks. That second week, it was around like Christmas, New Year's. I was the biggest prick I've ever been in my whole life. And I couldn't figure out why. Like I was so angry and pissed off. Like I'm mother effing my mother one day. It was like right around New Year's. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? What's the matter with me?
Yeah.
I'm like, I called her up. I was like, yo, I'm having the worst. She's like, take the fucking shot. I'm like, a day later, I'm like, I feel great again.
People really underestimate how bad it is to not, I mean, dramatic, but to live with low tests as a man. Your confidence is low. You're more irritable than you think. And people are like, you know, roid rage and this and that. But the opposite effect is worse.
Yeah, roid rage you're getting from like D-ball and shit like
trends
that.
Like, the insane amounts.
Yeah, like that's like, those are anabolic steroids. Those are like synthetic bullshit oils that you're putting in your body from some lab. Most of the time, these guys who are freaking the fuck out are getting it from the internet and stuff. Like, everybody's like, oh, where do you get? I'm like, I get it from a doctor. I wouldn't order shit online. Yeah, like, I've never been like I've never even done coke before. Everybody's like, really? Never? I'm like, no. I was like, I'm not going to fucking take some powder sticking up my nose from some dickhead in a club somewhere. No way.
Yeah. You don't need it. There's a study Jeff Nippard did, and he tests 4 different groups of people. One is on natural lifters that don't lift, natural lifters that lift, enhanced lifters that don't lift, and then enhanced lifters that lift, right? So you have all 8-week program. And what they found was obviously the enhanced lifters that lifted saw more muscle gains than anybody else. But the second in line were the enhanced lifters that did not lift for 8 weeks. That means they put on more muscle mass than the natural guys that were lifting. But here's the caveat. The amount they were taking was, I think, 600 milliliters a week, which is like an insane, like that's not a regular, like you're taking a TRT dosage, that's like 3 times a TRT dosage. So seeing that kind of research, people think like, oh, that's that easy. TRT is not as extreme as people think it really is. Well, it's getting to a base level.
I think the misconception is like TRT doesn't help you build muscle, it helps you recover faster.
Yeah.
So whenever he's like, oh, you're going to build a ton of muscle, I'm like, no, you have to work out on it. If I took like D-ball or Winstrol or fucking Anavar or something like that, then you start to really change your body. I'm guessing that's when like mood swings happen. You start to fucking lose your hair, all that bullshit. Like I don't really know it because I've never done any of that shit. But when I first started taking TR, it just made me feel better.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't like, oh, I put on all this muscle. I'm the same weight I was the day I started taking it. I float between 195 and 200 pounds for the past 10 years of my life. You know, I never get heavier than that. Yeah. And I'm like, it takes me a while. Like if I do a tournament and I do jujitsu at like either 194, I have to weigh in at 191 without the gi. And then if I bump up to 208 just because I don't feel like it, I'm at 200 pounds. Yeah. So I'm like 8 pounds under, or I got to cut down. And it's fucking hard for me to cut down, but I eat really well. I don't drink anymore.
Oh, you don't?
No,
not at all.
I mean, like I'll drink on like here and there. Like even the other night, I went to the UFC fight. I didn't drink at all.
Really?
Yeah.
What's your diet look like normally?
Like this last night, I came home from the gym and I cooked and I made ground beef, ground turkey, like a huge plate of eggs, and then I'll make that for the week, and that's what I'll have for the week. And then like I'll mix an apple, some fruit. Like I just went to Whole Foods and I got some pineapple and some watermelon, and that's basically what I eat for my carbs and stuff. But like every once in a while, if I want to go have ice cream or some shit, I'll eat that. I just found this really great. There's this company out of Philly who just sent me a bunch of this ice cream. It's like protein ice cream.
What's it called?
What's the name of it? I just put it up. Healthy Gains or something. Gains.
Healthy Gains.
Sweet Gains.
You ever hear of something Sweet like Gains. Eat the Bear or something like that? It's like an all natural ice cream. They use just like heavy cream, honey.
Really?
Really good. Yeah.
Eat the Bear.
I gotta send that to you.
Check it out.
Yeah, because because
for the event, and this is what I like to do for the event, is like we put all these brands under one roof. And then people could try all this shit, because people ask me, like, I always try different stuff. So you know Frank Seppi, he's a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Pretty well-known bodybuilder. He's from Long Island. He came and he was training Chris Daughtry, the guy who won the American Idol, at my gym like a week ago. And he's got these new Rice Krispie protein bars. They're awesome.
Yeah.
I bought 6 boxes of them so I could sell them at the gym. And I've been giving them out to people just to let them try it. And they're so fucking good. And I let my members try them. And like even when I first met Manny and we had Slate and stuff. I was like, here, everyone try this because this is a better form of chocolate milk. Here's a better form of a Rice Krispie. Yeah. Here's a better form of coffee. Like I want people to use products that are better. My niece and nephew, Manny sends a case to my sister's house because I'm like, they're better off drinking this than regular chocolate milk.
Yeah.
You know, why wouldn't I give them a better product? So what I do is I put everybody under one roof for the event and give everybody an opportunity to try a healthier ice cream, a healthier, you know, version of something else that they're going to eat anyway.
It's called ice cream for bears. I found it. Yeah.
Ice cream for bears.
You got to look into it maybe for your, I'll send you the link, but it's, again, they use all natural ingredients. I think, cream, milk, eggs, honey. That's it.
That's great.
It's fucking
sounds
phenomenal,
good,
dude. Yeah. That'd be a cool little booth for you guys at the expo.
So what I was talking to these guys about, because I actually reached out to them this weekend, I was like, I want you guys to set up, because we'll have like kids classes and stuff. And I'm like, let's set up a whole thing Sundays. Kids can make their own Sundays and shit. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, it's interesting, again, like you said, about the influence that our generation has versus yours, and then even the one younger.
Yeah.
And the whole honesty thing I think is great. That being said, I do think some things are better left
unsaid
or, you know, embellished a bit, right? Like when we grew up, or when I grew up especially, I would see the Jay Cutlers of the world and Ronnie Coleman, and I would be like, man, how'd they get so big? And the whole thing would be like, oh, eat your protein, right? Like they would instill healthy rule, and which was great. I didn't know that they were on steroids, nor did I really need to know, because if I did know, my thought process is, I have to go get those steroids. Whereas now, these kids at 17, they're seeing these 23-year-old guys on social media that are like, yeah, I'm blasting gear, you should too. And they're going and doing it, you know?
I think it was always there. I definitely knew kids who did steroids and shit at a younger age. I tell people this all the time, like when I got into bodybuilding, strength training, fucking whatever you want to call it in high school, just training for sport.
Yeah.
The only outlet or the only way to find information was either through an actual hardcover book like the Arnold Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding or magazines. And when I was younger and reading these magazines, I'm like, clearly this guy's not just fucking lifting weights. He's clearly doing something else. And that's when, you know, I kind of figured out, I'm like, all right, I'm never going to look like this guy unless you start doing some stuff. But like you said, it's good. Like I started picking up a lot of the good habits that they talk about in the magazines. Like I remember Ronnie Coleman like crushing a bottle of like 2-liter soda. And he's like, you should never drink soda. And then it's like Lee Priest was like smashing a cake and he's like, don't eat cake. And I'm like, at 14, 15 years old, I'm like, oh shit, I got to listen to these guys.
Yeah.
Like Jay Cutler's eating tuna out of the can. I'm like, this is what I got. So I started doing that shit really early on, only through like articles and magazines and stuff.
Watching Jay Cutler eat was actually like disgusting, but you like, couldn't stop watching it.
I've met him a couple times. I had dinner with him last year at the Arnold.
Oh, that's awesome.
A buddy of mine's friends with him. And I was like, dude, when I was like 14, 15 years old, I remember reading A Day in Your Life. And it was in like, muscular development or something. And it was basically like he got up, he would go do cardio for like an hour, then go eat, then go back to bed, then get back up, lift, right? Go eat again, then go back to bed. And I'm like, and he was like, I did this 7 days a week for like 10 years. And I'm like, what the fuck?
It's insane.
That sounds miserable. I'm like, I don't want that life. To look like that? I'm like, it looks great. He looks great. I mean, he still looks good as a 50-something-year-old guy. But like, obviously, there's a level of discipline there, right? Yeah. And he said he was broke for a long time until he started winning and doing what he did. But that's a level of dedication. You got to eat, sleep, shit, breathe bodybuilding. Yeah. And like, I'm not into, I'd rather be able to go do high rocks. Like in the last year, I've done a marathon. I've done a triathlon. I've done high rocks multiple times. I did multiple jiu-jitsu tournaments. I did CrossFit competitions. Like I like to do more active shit, more fun, you know, kind of more I don't like, I mean, bodybuilding to me, like just to cut weight and then pose on stage. I think the whole world is weird. So why?
So weird.
So many people ask me, they're like, why don't you have a bodybuilding component to the event? I'm like, I like the bodybuilding world. I like those people. But when you get into the weeds, like I went to the big Jersey show that they have here in Secaucus.
Yeah, what's it called? Yeah, I know what you mean.
The New York Pro. fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like the people who really
people are
love,
weird.
They're fucking weird, man.
Yeah.
Like just think about it. Like you're always posing and shit. Like when gyms have pose rooms, I'm like, yeah, this is fucking crazy.
It when you
what a waste of fucking 400 square feet.
When you take a step back, it's fucking weird. And it stems from something else. Like that extreme discipline is not to say it's a problem or a mental issue, but something must have went.
Yeah, it's definitely
something must have went wrong where you have to dedicate and focus only on eating, sleeping, and staring yourself in the mirror to make sure you look perfect at every moment. And like I saw, and again, I'm a big fan of C-Bum too. So I'm crying in a video because he dealt with like these body issues of like body dysmorphia after a stage. He's like, oh, you know, I feel fat. And you look at this dude that's 240, looks like a fucking Greek god, and he's complaining about how he looks. It's so fucking crazy.
What was his name? He did a video in his car. He was like crying about it. Phil Heath.
Yeah.
Phil Heath won the Mr. Olympia 6 fucking times.
His arms are this big.
He looks amazing. And he's like, yeah, I just fucking feel like I look like shit. I'm like, can't wait till I look like shit.
Right. You wonder if it's like, is that the side effects of the steroids?
Yeah, I think so. I think you get to a point where you're so dialed in that even you gaining a little bit of weight. And that's why I think the sport is unhealthy for a lot of people. I know multiple women who are like, hit me up and they're like, hey, could you train me for, I'm like, I know nothing about that world. I couldn't teach you how to, like the nuances of it. Could I get you started? Sure. But I can't take you down that road. I don't know anything about it. But there were multiple women I know who've gotten into it. And then it fucks with their hormones so much because you cut down so far and you deplete your body of water and salt and everything else. And now to get back to normal is very hard. And to try to do it again is very few and far between you'll find. That's why it's not as big amongst women. Like girls are doing it and they're like posing and doing all this shit. But I don't think they're as many women are getting on stage as guys are.
It's not good. I mean, mentally, like you said, it's not healthy for really anybody, but especially women with the hormones, and they already deal with crazy body dysmorphia. Now you got to step on stage.
Every month their fucking hormones get fucked up.
And you're getting guys, your coaches telling you, you look fat today, or like you don't look great. That's got to be messing with your brain because like at one point that's supposed to be like a signal of, okay, I'm doing something wrong, but now it's like your sport. It's a very odd, position to be in. But,
I mean, listen, is it a sport? Yeah, you got to push really hard. Stallone has said it's the hardest sport he's ever done, and so many people have said it's like really hard, and it is. It's a lot of discipline. It's a lot of mental taxation, but with I'd rather play any other sport.
It's more fun. Like we're talking.
I'd rather play fucking badminton.
Something again. It scratches that itch a little more. We were talking before about. Again, the whole like David Goggins mindset of like you gotta suffer and you gotta suck and you gotta hate what you're doing, and it just seems like take a step back. Why? For him, it works, right? Clearly, he was in a bad spot. He needed that to pull him out, and now he has a regimen. He's scheduled, and he's
got to love it at this point.
He has to.
And I heard about it on a podcast, and they were talking about how that switch. Like for me, I enjoy a cold plunge, so. A cold plunge doesn't seem as hard for me anymore, and you don't get the same benefits out of it when you start to enjoy it. Like I love going to the gym. There's times I don't want to go, but for me, it's like it's pretty easy. I mean, I made it my life for a reason. Yeah. So I go and it's, even tonight I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't really want to go to jiu-jitsu. I know when I get there, I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm dialed in, and an hour and a half will go by quick for me. Yeah. But there's a lot of people who still hate it, and I think there's this chemical reaction that happens within your body when you start to do things that you don't want to do, and then you start to turn that corner and you start to fall in love with it.
That's a peaceful feeling too, because now like you've embraced and you've taken head on what you used to hate, and now you enjoy it, and now you can do better at these things. But you're right, like. The whole thing about the cold plunge, the benefit was that it was something that sucked, but in 3 minutes it's over, and now you feel like you accomplished something that day. Where there's a diminishing return to that. I can hop in a cold plunge, and like you, I don't really mind it. I don't feel as accomplished. Whereas I used to be like, oh, I just grinded it out for 3 minutes. I don't give a shit anymore. I gotta find something new now to give me that same sort of satisfaction.
I'm dreading what that's gonna be.
Take off 6 months on your cold plunge, and then go right back in. You'll feel it sucks, dude.
Well, I go pretty much every Wednesday, but even this weekend at the High Rocks event, they had like a sauna cold plunge, and the sauna was up to like 220. It was great. It was like this, a buddy of mine, Brian Peters, he's got a mobile sauna. And it's basically like you're inside of an oven.
Yeah.
He built this
That's
mobile
hot
sauna.
as fuck, dude.
Yeah. And it was brutal. I was in there for like 5-6 minutes and I was raining.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Man.
And then it's like I did that transition like 3 or 4 times. But like you still feel great. I still felt great that night.
Yeah.
But I tell everybody, I'm like, yeah, just do more shit that sucks and try stuff that's, you know, not comfortable, and then you'll start to like it.
Until you like it, and then go find something new to suck on.
Yeah, and that was it. Like for me, it's like there's this huge running craze right now. People are loving running.
Fucking hate running.
Yeah.
I hate running.
No, but like there's so many run clubs
I know.
everywhere.
I can't stand it.
But I was in that world right out of college. I was doing a ton of Ironmans, triathlons, marathons, shit like that. I love that world. Now I'm just like, I don't really want to fucking do that right now. No. Like there's so many people are going on runs and stuff. And running beats you up more than any other sport. I was more fucked up running than when I was doing, I mean, I hope I don't get fucked up in jiu-jitsu. It's like, man, my elbows and my knees hurt. But it's like when I was running all the time, I was fucking banged up. My feet hurt, my ankles hurt, my back hurt.
And here's the thing. I've never once seen a pure runner that looked good. If you just ran, you look like shit.
Dude,
Everybody, you have to add it into like a routine,
100%.
and maybe can add some sort of cardiovascular help. But
who's the
pure
guy?
runners look like shit.
Who's that fucking like? Everybody calls themselves a hybrid athlete. You know, right?
Dan runs 100 miles.
You ran 100 miles? Oh fuck that!
He's fucking ripped. Show me your abs. Dan, show me your abs. Dan, show me your abs, bro.
All you do is run?
No.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
He's fucking yoked, this kid.
So
does backflips and shit. Yeah, he's
there's
a specimen.
There's a guy who comes to my gym now, and he comes there like 2-3 days a week. He's never lifted, but he's done multiple century runs. Like he's done, and he loves it. And he's so fucking thin. I go, buddy, stop with the running. Start eating.
Hit a weight, yeah. Get some food in you, man.
But yeah, it's like a thing. There's so many people now who are jumping on this. What's that guy's name? Nick Bear.
Yeah. So Nick Bear, he loves Nick Bear, but then he found that he's on steroids and he hates him.
So
is he juicing?
1,000.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, well, Dan's 22, so Dan's 23. I was like, man, to be young and naive again.
Dude, fuck. Are you kidding? If he's not doing it, nobody is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, fuck out of here.
Yeah.
He's 260.
He's
right?
he's
guy's a
huge,
monster.
that guy, yeah.
He's 260. He's like, oh, all you do is run and get the fuck out of here. Shut up. You're selling fucking supplements. You're fucking definitely on steroids.
You don't think it's possible to get to that stature?
You're not running that much and not fucking gassing.
Catabolizing your muscles. You have to. You have to burn something on your body.
Yeah.
Your body is not, again, stand efforting. Your body's not meant to hold muscle and run that much at the same time.
The whole thing is like calories out, calories in. It's like take whatever you just ran, add calories into that, and then...
Yeah, but at a certain point, when you run a certain distance, your body now becomes like a furnace. Like
Super
anything
catabolic,
after, I think after 3 hours or maybe even 4 hours, anything further than that distance, you're now like a furnace. And you could eat a fucking birthday cake and not put on any weight because your body is now catabolic to the point where it's like, it won't even hold anything you're eating. So... You know, for him to be running, he does like 50-mile
ultra marathon.
Shit,
he's
right?
insane. I mean, he looks crazy.
And he looks huge.
He looks great.
He's fucking huge. And it's like, I'm sure you'll have some asshole on here who's like a big fan who's like, no, he doesn't. I'm like, oh yeah.
Does he admit to it?
He doesn't admit. The Rock doesn't.
Yeah. The Rock either. When you look at these guys progress as they age, how could you deny it? You know, that's it.
100%.
You see, like Mike O'Hearn, that's the big joke. But you look at that guy, and he was a specimen at 5 years old.
I've gotten to work out with Mike a couple times out in LA. I love Mike's a great dude.
He seems so
I don't
cool.
know why he fucking continues to play that game. I think for me, like watching him as I grow up, because I remember when he was on the cover like Muscle and Fitness and shit like that. Like even with Hulk Hogan, right? Like when I was a kid, it was like say your prayers, eat your vitamins. When you pull back the curtain and you see like what's really going on, you're like, fuck. I think he likes keeping the curtain up. Everybody knows he's on fucking shit.
It's also like a joke though. This point,
yeah, it's crazy to think. You know, there are people who look like shit who are on steroids, and you're like, so if you look really good, you're probably doing a lot of things right, and you're probably on a ton of shit. That guy's a monster. There's no way he's not fucking.
Yeah, but you look at a guy like Mike, and I heard him talk too. He's like, I have not missed a meal in.
I tell you what, the few times that I worked out with him, he's like, meet me at Gold's at 6 a.m. And the motherfucker's there with 4 other old juice heads.
It's got to be a cool experience.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's cool as shit. Can't be a fucking nicer guy. And he does judo. He was like a judo world champion or some shit. Yeah. And does jujitsu. he has bear paw. Like him, John Cena. Have you ever met John Cena? His fucking hands are like the size of this table. And you're like,
really?
Yeah, it's growth hormone and shit. So you meet these guys and you're like, I would not want to fucking fight this guy. Because if he knows anything, he's going to snap you in half.
Yeah.
You know?
Growth is expensive as shit, though, I heard.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm sure he's done pretty well for himself.
How was the actual workout itself? Like, how long was it? What you guys do?
It was cool. It was like, and it like kind of like, I like working out with different guys, especially older guys who've been doing it so long that they probably come up with like their own methodology and stuff. I've been training now for almost 20 years, and lifting weights and pulling workouts out of magazines and shit forever. And we started with like a heavy lat pull down, like 160, 170, 180 pound lat pull down. So we were only doing like sets of 5 or 6. Then we went into like heavy, we did weighted pull-ups. Then we were doing heavy back rows, and he had me like, oh, just do this weight. Just do it for 4 reps or 5 reps. I'm like, buddy, I can't get this fucking weight up. Like he was doing like 125, 130 pound dumbbell, like single arm dumbbell rows. And he's like, oh, go ahead, do a couple reps. And I'm like,
it's not moving.
I don't think I'm going to get this fucking thing up, dude. I'm like, I wish I could. I'm glad you have confidence in me, but it's not happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's super fucking cool. And I think he'd do that for anybody. So like, I love that. I've gotten to work out with a lot of like old school guys, and it's such an awesome experience.
Was his methodology different than like what you thought it'd be, or different?
Yeah,
than
it was like,
say?
it was just another take on, a bodybuilding program.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't do a ton of, it was like in and out too.
Really?
Like we got there, we did fucking lat pull downs, we did pull ups, we did chest supported rows, low rows, and then single arm dumbbell rows. And he's like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. I was like, all right, see you then.
That's sick.
Yeah.
How'd you meet him?
I hit him up because I wanted him to speak at the event.
Okay, gotcha.
And he couldn't make it, or something had happened. So then when I was out in LA, I was like, hey, I'd love to come work out with you. I hit him up.
Sick,
yeah, and he was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Yeah, but we kicked the can down the road pretty far. We were gonna do it. He was gonna come out and stuff, and I forget what happened. But Jay Ferrugia and this guy Luca Hocevar, they're like guys who've been in the training world for a long time, 25 plus years of training and stuff. Joe DeFranco is another one. I've gotten to work out with a lot of those guys. And it's cool that, like, I just like hearing the way they, like, break down a workout. Zach Evanesh is another one. They're all, like, training guys. They train a lot of, like, athletes and shit like that. So I love that type of training as well as, like, a bodybuilding program.
It's fun.
Like, those guys all lift for performance. And, Jay's, like, more of a bodybuilder guy. But it's cool. I just like just the way they'll attack a workout. Yeah. And it's not like 100 miles an hour, go, go, go.
It's very focused, like with intent every movement. Yeah. Interesting. Well, we do have to let you go because you're a busy guy. The fact that I got you for an hour is incredible with the schedule you have. So I appreciate you coming on. What's next for you, and give some more information about the event coming up? Yeah.
So we put tickets on sale yesterday for Strong New York. So those are at strongnewyork.com. It's a cool event, bring your kids, bring your family. It's an all-day health and wellness expo. It's a day to celebrate fitness. People are always like, who goes? I'm like, anybody who's interested in fitness. It's like, if you want to learn or grow, work out with some really, like, the best of the best. We'll have the world's strongest man there. We'll have, Owen Roddy's kind of come back for us. We have a bunch of, like, different people from all walks of the fitness and wellness industry. We have doctors, trainers, neuroscientists, experts from every, point of the health and wellness space. Connect with some cool people. It's the same as like when I go to Comic-Con, it's like I don't work in the movie or comic book industry, but it's a fun experience. You get to hang out. So check us out there. And then, that's my focus right now, but we'll be doing like a gym tour. So we'll be popping up in gyms in Connecticut, Westchester, Jersey, New York, giving away some tickets, giving away shirts and stuff like that. And we'll have some cool prizes. We're doing an event out in the Hamptons. We're doing one in Asbury. We're actually doing 2 in Asbury Park. We're going to piggyback off the Asbury Park Games, which is like a CrossFit competition that my buddy owns. And then we're going to be at the See Here Now Festival. All right. So Springsteen's going to be at this. He's like the headliner.
Hell yeah.
I'm obviously a Jersey guy. I'm a huge Springsteen guy. But we're going to do like a workout that morning for like anybody who's there.
Oh, sick.
So it'll be cool.
Right, man.
Yeah, because it's like, it's this huge festival, 30,000, 40,000 people, and everybody's like drinking their faces off. So I wanted to give some sort of wellness.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like a wellness perspective on it.
And when is Strong New York? What day?
October 5th.
Day before my birthday.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
So you got to come.
All right. You say less.
Your ticket's on me.
Oh, all right. Then I'm definitely going. I'm in. We wrap up every podcast by asking our guests 2 questions.
Sure.
First question is going to be, what has been in your life, doesn't have to be fitness related, what has been the lowest of your lows? And then follow that up with what has been the highest of your highs?
The lowest of my lows was probably a little over 10 years ago. I had dealt with I got accused of some shit on TV that fucking was bullshit. At the same time, I had broken up with my girlfriend. I tore my pec and my shoulder, all within like a 6-month period. So I wasn't able to work out. I broke up with my ex. I was in the midst of building a new gym. I had all this fucking shit going on TV. It was just fucking horrible. It was one of those times where it's like, I opened up my medicine cabinet. I'm like, I'm just going to fucking take everything in here and just hope to not wake up. So it was a fucking dark 6 to 8 months for me. And then what pulled me out of that was basically realizing I could make my problems worse or I could make them better. And I wanted to start chalking up wins. So I started, looking at eating better, working out more, just doing things that I know would make me feel better. And that kind of pulled me out of that. Highest of highs, any chance I get to spend like with my family and I'm relaxed, I try to have a good day every day. That's why I chose the career I did, because Monday doesn't feel like work. Friday doesn't feel like work. I'm working, but I'm doing what I'd want to do. Yeah. To me, it's like relaxing, sitting on a beach somewhere, drinking margaritas. It's like, I don't really drink. I'd probably go and find a gym. So I might as well go find my own gym and work there. So
that's awesome, man. Well, thank you for sharing that.
No, thank you.
It's inspiring to hear that even at your darkest moments, stories like that show you that there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's never as bad as you think, and it's never as good as you think.
Exactly.
Like even when you're winning, you're like, all right, this is short lived, and now it's time to move on to the next thing. Like I've never been one to, over celebrate when I do win. Mm-hmm. Like it's never like, oh my God, I won the Olympics or some shit. Yeah. Like even I'm always just like, it was good. I'm glad I won. That's what I worked for. And now it's time to move on.
Keep things moving.
Yeah.
Well, Kenny Santucci, thank you so much for coming on. That's it for today, guys. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Cheers.